Pay no mind to the mess behind me. It's not my fault. We tripped a circuit breaker and this whole side of the house doesn't have power. The electricians will be out here tomorrow. But for today, we're going to run an extension cord over to the only outlet that works on this side of the house so I could bring you quality entertainment. You're welcome. I wanted to talk briefly today about Sony and their acquisition. Now, I already did a video talking a lot about Bungie, but the thing that really stood out to me the most was that we found out Sony is not done. They said something very cryptic, like more to follow. And I've been seeing a lot of announcements online or leaks essentially from various gaming outlets with a guess as to like who is Sony going to be going after next. Now, I don't claim to know the financial aspect of this. I didn't think Sony had deep enough pockets, honestly, to spend almost $4 billion on Bungie, but they did, and clearly they're not quite done. We have really seen a shift from this kind of content race over the last year, really reaching a fever pitch, I think, at this point, as Sony and Microsoft are starting to gobble everybody up. I didn't even really think Bungie was for sale, so to speak, honestly, but here we are. So I was thinking to myself, if I was Sony, who would I go after next? And what do I really need to kind of like complete out my portfolio? And two companies came to mind right away. And I don't know if it's so much that Sony necessarily needs them, as so much as the company kind of needs Sony. Allow me to explain. Well, I got to look at like the partnership side of things, right? And I got to think, okay, who has worked well with Sony in the past? And I think that's why the Bungie acquisition made so much sense. As I talked about in my other video, they had a lot of partnership between the two. You had the limited edition controller, the limited edition console, the exclusive content that came with the original Destiny, like the infamous Monte Carlo gun that I never got. And a lot of other skins and all the bonus content that came out a year in advance. It made Destiny, the place to play it was on the PlayStation. Now, my question is, if Sony acquiring these other companies, are they going to continue the same level of basically, hey, you can publish to anybody you want, but make sure Daddy Sony gets something special? The two companies that came to mind, without a doubt, is really anything by Warner Brothers and Capcom. And I don't know if those come as such a huge surprise, but think back to the partnerships that Sony has had with both of these companies in the past. Really, and to me, the one that stands out the most by far was Rocksteady, specifically with Batman. And think of the amount of stuff that the PlayStation players got over the Xbox players when it came to the Batman series. We had all their official trailers and announcements were debuted on a Sony E3 stage back when there was an E3. All the trailers, the announcements, the hype. You had the limited edition console that was released in tandem with the Arkham series for PlayStation. You had all of the ancillary skins and costumes and missions that were also exclusively tied to PlayStation. And I think that really kind of, in my head at least, justifies why that might be the case. We know from, just hearing around the rumor mill, so to speak, in the past, that Warner Brothers and Microsoft had been talking for a while. We also know that Warner Brothers is in some deep caca. A lot of their games are getting delayed or not selling well. There are a lot of studios that have been MIA for quite some time. I just saw the news today that Suicide Squad has been delayed until 2023. There's just a lot of development churn over there, and just the kind of Warner Brothers umbrella of gaming just hasn't been itself. You had that whole Shadow of Mordor microtransaction, broken as hell game system, the numerous delays that have come out. It just makes sense that they're kind of in a weaker state. And I feel like they could learn a lot from the way Sony puts together quality products. And while I don't claim to know Sony's internal development schedule, I do claim to say that for the most part, Sony's been pretty good about getting out good games. And Sony's first-party studio has consistently delivered on quality. And I think that they could really inject a lot of that into some of the mediocrity we have seen over from WB. The other one is Capcom. And this one I think is a lot more interesting because I don't think Capcom needs Sony. We've seen so many press announcements that have come out on the meteoric rise of Monster Hunter World and Monster Hunter Rise, which, by the way, chef's kiss. I love that game. I play it every single day. Obviously, the Resident Evil series is in phenomenal shape. We've seen a litany of great Resident Evil sales. Constant news coming out. They just had the Resident Evil 25 partnerships with the Netflix series and movies, and they're just continuing to build an empire. But when you look at what they have and how they have partnered with in the past, it's always been Sony. Sony has always gotten the extra little gimmies and grabmies and fun things like the Aloy armor in Monster Hunter, and in the a lot of the Resident Evil stuff, like the whole virtual reality component. And I just feel like there is a great synergy there. Now, I know the elephant in the room, and I actually have a prop for it. It's the old Nintendo Switch. Yeah, remember Monster Hunter Rise, the game I just said that I love? Well, I'm unfortunately not able to play it on my console because it is a Nintendo Switch exclusive. All the stuff is... Oh, that's a blurry camera. What is going on, camera? There we go. Wow. That's what it looks like out of my left eye. In case anybody ever wanted to know, now you just saw it. We've seen a lot of interesting news come out that Monster Hunter Rise doesn't really seem to be coming out. I thought it was going to be a timed exclusive, and eventually it was going to percolate out to the Nintendo, or off the Nintendo Switch rather, to the PlayStation, the Xbox. Doesn't seem like that's happening. And obviously that is the kind of the elephant in the room. But outside of that, I think my theory still holds pretty true. I think if you look at the partnerships of those two studios over the years, the way that Sony has embraced and has gotten great exclusive content limited to their platform from Capcom, I think that acquisition makes a lot of sense. I don't know if Capcom's willing to sell, though. And if you really look at just kind of the space of other major acquisitions and kind of who is left out there, there aren't many movers and shakers left. There's been a mass consolidation of gaming studios over the last 10 years or so. And COVID definitely did no favors to the indie scene. The indie scene is way more saturated than it has ever been in the past, which I guess is a good thing. When you look at Sony's marketing message on the PlayStation 4, the We Heart Indies campaign, indies don't need any more support, but I don't know if there's any major showrunner or frontrunner in there that has some crazy wild initiative that Sony feels like they need to bite onto. I could be wrong. That's where you guys come in. And before my camera completely explodes, I'm going to say thank you guys so much for watching. Leave some comments below. Let me know if you think that the WB and the Capcom deals make sense, or is this just like nonsense and nothing else good is coming from this. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care of yourselves. And until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.